Hello, this is Purge, bringing you guys the first person replay commentary. This is a Phantom Assassin game. This is the new build that I've been trying out this patch that I really like. So let us hop right into it. Alright, this is the Dodo Buff section again. I'm sponsored by Dodo Buff, and I am obligated to tell you that, guys, that well before I start this. Alright, Phantom Assassin. The reason, well, a couple things about PA. PA is apparently the most popular hero in pubs right now. I didn't realize this, but apparently it's true. She has a decent win rate of 51.18%. If we look at the hero meta statistics on that, well, she's right at the top. Her win rate of 5k and above is actually awful. It's 44.05%. That's really bad. And the reason that her win rate at very high MMRs is not very good is because she's countered by players who aren't idiots, basically. And with that said, though, I think her advantages are decent. I just think people play her the wrong way right now. The way that the hero works is you have a couple abilities. You do almost all physical damage. You have a passive crit in your ultimate, which isn't really that good at level 1. It gets better later at level 11 and level 16. But it does a pretty strong crit. 15% is something like 1 out of 7 attacks or something will give you a crit. You also have another passive called Blur, which evades enemy attacks. And also, if an enemy hero is far away from you, then you don't show up on the map. That's for 1600 range, I believe. So... Yeah, one far from enemy heroes. Yep, that part's kind of low impact. The evasion thing is really nice. 50% evasion in the early game is really hard to deal with if your opponents don't have MKBs or a Blood Thorn, which is extremely unlikely. So Blur is very good early on. You also got Blink Strike, which blinks you to a target and gives you bonus 130 attack speed for 4 attacks. And this, by leveling this skill up, all it does is lower the cooldown. So it might look on paper that Phantom Strike isn't very good to level up. Your first skill, Stifling Daggers, is arguably your iconic ability. You throw out your little dagger, and the passive did pure damage with half to heroes, but now it's been changed so that it does damage based on your base damage. So it does 75 plus a certain percentage of what your current attack damage is, and it also applies attack effects from your items and your abilities. So for example, if you have a basher, every time you throw your Stifling Dagger, it has a chance to bash your target, or you can apply a Desolator buff, you can apply a Orb of Venom slow, you can apply Diffusible Aid, you can apply tons of things. Scotty slow, for example, with Stifling Dagger. These are all options that you can do with PA. But the nice part now is that, well, Dagger can crit. It could crit in the last patch, but before it did pure damage. Now it does physical damage. It just got buffed slightly higher. I think the base damage went from 60 to 75, I believe. And it also applies up to a 4-second slow for 50% movement speed slow, which is quite good. And it's a 6-second cooldown, so it's very spammable, low mana cost. So basically your goal as Phantom Assassin is to blow people up very rapidly and to dive in and out and be very aggressive. And I feel like Phantom Assassins kind of lost their way with the build over time, and which is actually kind of bizarre to me, but mostly just because like looking at her skill set, it kind of makes sense of how you're supposed to play her. And the way that I think you're supposed to play her is you're supposed to buy a Vanguard right away. And you guys might be a little confused about this and be like, why would you buy a Vanguard? But there's a couple things that Vanguard gives you that allows PA to get extra value out of. Like, if you have a hero who is naturally tanky, making them more tanky makes them even stronger. But then you look at PA and you're like, well, but she's supposed to do damage. And you're right, she is. But the problem is that if you don't get tanky, then in the early game you're countered by physical nukes that cut right through your HP. It doesn't matter how much evasion you have when your HP is low, for example, and your HP is pretty low. So you need to be able to survive nukes, otherwise your evasion does nothing, and all those skill points are wasted. And you need to be able to lengthen the amount of time that you're attacking your target, because like I said, 15% chance isn't actually that high. You have to attack like minimum 7 times to get a crit. 7, that's 30 is 2, 60 is 4, 90 is 6. Yeah, it's a little bit less than 7 times. It's like 6 to 7 attacks will give you 1 crit on average. So expecting more than 1 crit when you go on somebody and you only hit them like 7 times is kind of playing the chance game in a way that you're probably going to lose it. So I feel like what the Vanguard does is it means that you don't have to buy lifesteal, which lifesteal's not bad on the hero. It's just historically, lifesteal is an expensive item for what it gives you. It's really good like later in the game, but the very beginning of the game, lifesteal is actually not very good. So what a Helmet Dominator gives you, which is by far one of the most common builds, 20 damage, 5 armor, and 3 HP regen, and 50% lifesteal, and the creep. The creep is good, the other aspect's not so good, because you're spending 1900 gold on 20 damage, 5 armor. 3 HP regen. The lifesteal can be useful, but only if you're attacking. What does this Helm of the Dominator do if you're getting chain nuked or chain stunned? Oh, it does give you 5 armor against the right clicks. That's not very good. So I think what you really need to do is buy an early Vanguard. This skill build is pretty much exactly what I do right now for my skill build. The purpose is that you want to max out your dagger and your blink as fast as possible with 1 point in evasion, because it's a value point. You get a free 20% evasion. Absolutely worth it for 1 skill point. The reason that maxing out Blink Strike, Phantom Strike, and Stifling Dagger is so good and feels so good is because when you buy Vanguard, you don't hit this mid-game period where you have no survivability. Because usually what happens for PAs is they hit this mark here where you're like level 8 to level 12, and you're running around with like a drums and maybe a treads and a wand, or a phase and a wand. And drums isn't even as good on PA as it used to be. It used to be much better because it used to give 9 to all stats. Now it only gives 9 int, 6 strength, and 3 agility, so it doesn't give you that much damage. Sometimes it's worth buying drum because it does give you passive regen now, so some heroes it's a good HP solution. But for PA, I genuinely believe that the HP solution is Vanguard. So the reason Vanguard is so good and why it's not on here is because a lot of people think Vanguard is a terrible item, but I think they're absolutely wrong. I think in a lot of cases Vanguard is really good. You just have to know when to buy it. What it currently provides is 250 HP. It now gives you 8 HP per second. And it gives you a damage block of 32 damage if you're a melee hero, which is a ridiculous amount of damage block in the early game. If you're building your Vanguard somewhere around 10 minutes, everybody's probably hitting for about 70 damage, 80 damage. So you're blocking 32 damage even before you have evasion. Well, first of all, evasion's going to proc. They either hit you or they don't. Even if they do hit you, Vanguard's going to guaranteed block 32 of that damage, including from creeps. You take basically no creep damage. And after that, your armor is going to reduce the damage you take further. And it builds into Abyssal Blade. Like, it actually does everything you need. So it gives you more max mana pool, or max HP pool, so that nukes do less damage. This is basically 1 nuke minimum right here, extra that you can take. And it's giving you 8 HP per second, which is arguably more than your lifesteal. Because if you're attacking for like 100 damage or something like that, and you lifesteal 15%, you're getting 15 per hit. But if you're tanking damage, then Vanguard is easily better. So this item by itself like puts PA in a place where she can actually survive a lot early game. You don't have to get stat points instead of Blink Strike or Evasion or Blur. And because of that, it allows you to re-initiate. And like I said before, there's low cooldowns on these abilities. 5 seconds on Phantom Strike, 6 seconds on Stifling Dagger. When these levels get really high, the other benefit that you're getting is that you don't need movement speed items. Because if you buy Drum on PA, you'll find the Drum is really good because you can chase people down more often. But then again, you're feeling like maybe I need to get more Blur levels because my survivability is not that good. I just have like Treads, Wand, Drum, and that's a lot of money even like that. The build that I like going is Phase Boots, Vanguard, and Ring of Aquila. And I think this is the build. I am quite convinced that it is the build. The only exception to it not being the build is where you get a really fast Battle Fury. And if you get a really fast Battle Fury, then it might be worth it because it's going to increase your farm rate by a lot since it lets you cleave, which means you kill neutral camps faster. But I feel pretty confident that Phase Vanguard Aquila is the reason, is the build. Let me talk to you about why those items are good. I already covered Vanguard. I think I proved my point there. And again, late game it turns into Abyssal Blade easily, and you've already got the Vanguard. The reason Phase Boots is really good on this build is because by spending 2,000 gold on solely HP items, then you need to make up for that by getting a damage boost. And because Blink Strike gives you a lot of attack speed of 130, that means you can offset this attack speed increase by getting a plus damage boot. So if I buy Phase Boots, it increases my damage by 24, whereas Treads only increases my damage by 9. And increased damage from Phase Boots is actually really good, especially when I'm throwing daggers, because again, daggers do damage based on what your damage is. So if you have Treads, it doesn't matter that you attack faster technically. Throwing a dagger means it's going to do more with Phase Boots. The Phase Boots also makes up for the slightly lower mobility that you have due to not having like drums or something like that. But I'm pretty okay with that personally because when you're being aggressive, it doesn't matter that you're slow, because anytime that you're within dagger range of somebody, you throw the dagger, it gives you vision, and it slows them enough to allow you a chance to Blink Strike or Phantom Strike to catch up. So when you're chasing somebody, you are never going to get left behind, basically, even with just Phase Boots. It is minimum enough. The only way that just Phase Boots is a problem is when you're running away from people. If there's nothing to blink away to, then you will, in a lot of cases, get chased down. But again, you have a Vanguard to survive through that kind of thing, so it's not as bad. But the Phase Boots are really nice for that. You're chasing, you're doing more damage, you can chase down offlaners easier in the early game. These are a lot of big benefits that Phase Boots give you. the reason Aquila is so important on this hero is because it gives you a lot of damage as well, and it helps make up for the fact that, again, you don't have that much damage due to buying a Vanguard. So you have to buy both these items, and you need it for the mana regen, by the way, which is pretty important, because when casting Stifling Daggers, it's not expensive, but it does add up over time considering it's such a low cooldown, and you can get a last hit with it, or you can harass your opponent with it for quite good damage now. So you will be spamming this ability, and you will be casting Phantom Strike a lot. So that's why buying Ring of Aquila is pretty important. It gives you 3 intelligence, just a little bit of intelligence here. It's like 36 extra mana. You're going to get a total of 19 extra damage, which is really good, and a bonus 2 armor on top of this. So it's really like a 3 and a third armor item. It gives you a little bit of HP, a little bit of int, and more than anything else, it gives you 19 damage. So between 985 and your phase boots, you're already increasing the right click damage of your hero by like 40 some damage, like 45 damage, to very inexpensive items that increase your mana pool, increase your overall early game presence, and help couple very nicely with the Vanguard. Those 3 items are absolutely core, in my opinion. You can buy a magic wand if you want to. You can buy a magic stick if you want to. You don't have to go all the way into the wand. This game that I played, I did not buy it, but there are going to be some games where it's absolutely worth it, especially if they have mana drainers. If they have mana drainers, I would definitely buy a magic stick, at least. Okay, so that's your early game build. The purpose of it is to be able to dive like crazy, to give you more time to attack your opponents. They will not anticipate you being this tanky, and this is part of the benefit of this being a new build, is that they don't see it coming. They just expect to be they expect to be a PA easy kill kind of a thing. But you need to get these items, that way you can be active, and by being active, you need to go to team fights. If there's a gank or a team fight near a tower, you need to show up and you need to participate in that fight, and you need to contribute heavily. And with Vanguard, you can easily do that. Early game, nobody is stronger than you. Just because you have the potential to crit, you have a 6-second cooldown on a really good slow, 4-second slow uptime on a 6-second cooldown is amazing, and you're going to be attacking faster than them due to Phantom Strike, and they're going to be missing you 20% of the time, and you have Vanguard damage block, and you have armor on top of that. It's really big advantage, and sometimes you crit them and they will die. So when people are really limited on the amount of damage that they can burst you with in their early game, that's when you got to take the advantage. Take the burst, survive it, and kill them afterwards, because you know that you're always going to be able to chase. So one good thing that PA doesn't have a problem with is that she can always chase due to having Dagger as well as Phantom Strike. Other stats stuff, you have a really good agility gain, so your armor actually does become pretty incredible. 4.22 armor here base. Your int gain is awful, so you're not a very smart hero. And your strength gain is, it's not terrible, I guess. It's kind of okay. Your base damage is pretty bad, and your attack point is really good. Heroes you're good against are heroes that are a bit weak that need to attack you to be successful. So Ricky, Anti-Mage, Lifesteal, Drow. All these heroes need to attack you to be effective, and these guys are all fairly weak to single target damage. Anti-Mage is resistant to magic, and you do all physical, so you're actually a good AM counter. Lifestealer has semi-low armor, so in a 1v1 fight, usually PA will win, especially because Lifestealer is going to be missing you when he tries to attack. Drow Ranger is similar, except that Drow doesn't like it when heroes can get on top of her really fast, and PA can easily do that and close the gap and kill her rapidly. Abaddon's similar thing, he can't actually offset the damage that PA does because her damage is very, very high and consistent, rather than being like a burst nuke hero with Disable, so Abaddon is a little bit weak. Necrophos, kind of similar thing, you can kind of just kill him single target. Venomancer, Ursa, sort of the same things, but these percentages are not that significant. Here's your bad against IO, you can't interrupt his stun, so you can pretty much always get away from you. Arc Warden can put a Flux aura down, magnetic field, so you can't hit him. Although it should be a lot better now, actually. This match number is very low, so I'm guessing it might just be older games. But the way magnetic field works now is that if you're on the inside of the magnetic field and PA jumps in as well with you, then you still should be able to hit her. With that said, the first skill Flux is quite good at slowing. So perhaps, especially with PA jumping aggressively, I'm just not entirely sold on this advantage existing. I actually feel like PA is okay against Arc Warden now. Previous Arc Warden, yeah, I would say he definitely counters her, but right now I'm not completely sold on it. Meepo can just chain net her, and he can run away the one Meepo that gets low, so that one makes sense. Razor can sap your damage. Darter does tons of magic damage. Visage, tons of nuke. Lots of nuke heroes, basically. But you can counter a lot of these guys. Well, maybe not a lot of them, but some of them with things like Vanguard. Alright, and talking about late game items here. After the Vanguard, you're probably like, what do you buy? The solution is Desolator. I've always kind of known that Desolator is one of the best PI items that you can get, and the reason is because Desolator increases the physical damage you do. So why would you not buy it, right guys? Oops. Desolator. Okay. why would you not buy this item on a hero that does almost entirely physical damage? And now when you throw a dagger, you can apply the Desolator buff, and it does your physical attack, so it makes perfect sense. It's only 3,500 gold, it gives you 50 damage increase, which is what you need for crits, and it reduces the armor by 7. And it doesn't increase your attack speed, but that's okay, because you get attack speed bonus from your Phantom Strike. It's the perfect PA item. So the reason you couldn't buy it before is because you'd either have to buy Vlad's, or you'd have to buy Helm of the Dominator. Vlad's in the case of Desolator, because obviously Helm of the Dominator lifesteal doesn't stack with Deso, so you're always forced to not get this build, the Deso build, because you said, well, I need lifesteal. Clearly, I have to get lifesteal. There's no way not to get lifesteal, because I need an item that's going to make sure that if I'm jungling, that I don't lose my HP and doesn't prevent me from fighting, and will eventually scale into a bigger item. Yes, late game, having a Satanic on PA is really useful to have, but that's not as good, in my opinion, as having this great power curve for the first 20 minutes of the game, which is exactly what PA will do with the build, this build of mine. So you buy Deso immediately after the Vanguard. You should be able to get it pretty fast because you're farming rapidly with Quelling Blade and participating in almost all team fights, and you shouldn't be dying because you're super tanky and you do lots of damage. You should be able to get lots of kill on the offlaner as well, since you can pressure him consistently and he can't really deal with you since you have a Vanguard early. So those are the things you should do. And after you get Desolator, the game kind of changes. You can go lots of different ways. Some games I go Black King Bar immediately after Desolator. If they start having too many nukes or too many lockdowns, this is usually the stage, like the 20 plus minute stage, where they have so many nukes that they can just burst you down regardless of you having a Vanguard. So at that point you have damage, now you need to go survivability in team fights. That way your team fights keep going well. Because if you get a BKB and your enemy supports don't have Blink Dagger yet, you dagger them, you jump on them, you BKB, and they die in 5 hits or 6 hits maybe, max. So they die pretty fast. After Black King Bar, you can go a couple different ways depending on what you need to do. Some games I go Assault Cuirass because it gives you another -5 armor, which stacks with the Desolator obviously, and then you can kill cores more rapidly. It also helps for overall DPS since you attack faster. If they're still very, very nuke heavy, you can adjust your item build a little bit and go more tank. You could buy something like, I don't know, Manta style or something crazy like that. I don't know if this is how... I think I want to look at it this way. I'm going to look at it this way because it's a little bit easier. Tanky items in the mid game. I would say Scotty, but it doesn't stack with Desolator. If you didn't have Desolator, Scotty could be an option, but I don't think it is in this case. You could go maybe Lincolns if they have something like Doom or Roar. That probably wouldn't be terrible. You could build SNY. That's actually probably the item there. You could definitely argue for potentially SNY after BKB. It isn't very high damage. That's the only downside to this build. But it would give you survivability, movement speed, maim, lots of slow, things like that. You could justify SNY. You could justify Manta style. You could... I wouldn't get Echo Saber. I think it's a bit of a waste because you already attack fast anyways. So I'd probably skip that, but... yeah, I guess there's not that many options. You can go Abyssal Blade after BKB. That's what I did this game. You could buy Butterfly if you wanted more evasion. You could buy MKB if you need minus evasion. If you really want to be crazy, you could buy something like E-Blade, but that's probably not worth it at all. I guess there's not a lot of good HP items that also are semi-damaging. It's basically just SNY and Scotty are the main ones. So those are probably your item builds. Something like AC Lincolns, SNY, Manta style maybe, stuff like that after the BKB. Should pretty much always be your item build there. And I'm pretty confident in saying that. Those are basically all of your item choices. So I'm comfortable with that. Okay, and I think that covers just about everything. My PA win rate's not good, it's 44%. But I've only tried this build a little bit in the last couple days, and I stomped both games really hard. And I've gotten a lot of losses on my record from the past, so trying like the Battle Fury builds and things like that, really trying to make PA work, but having a lot of trouble with it. I had good history with her in the past. This is when I would go Drum Phase. I felt pretty good about that build, but yeah, some of these are very old losses. Things like that. A lot of drums purchased, a lot of drums, many drums. Okay, let's hop in the game. Close that out. Alright, this is a game that I played last night with Sing Sing and a stack of his friends. We lost a lot of games leading into this one, and eventually I picked a core role, and the team played a lot better as a whole, so it was a bit more fun. Let's accelerate this up here. I don't think I particularly counterpicked them. I would say that PA is pretty good against Purge. It's not very good if you don't get Vanguard because he kind of just bursts you down really early. And against Doom, I would say you're good against. Getting Doomed is not a big deal because you right-clicking still works depending if you get Doomed. Against Lion, PA is arguably bad because Lion can nuke you down with like Earthspike, Finger, and somebody else. But if you get the Vanguard build and you fight early and then you get a BKB, Lion can't do anything. So in mid-game fights, I started wrecking him just by popping BKB and jumping on him and he would die. Doom in laning stage is easily punishable by PA as well. Maybe not easily, but punishable. And that's just because you can easily close the gap from you to him. You can do a ton of damage, which can eventually burst through Scorched Earth. Like the more you hit him, the higher chance there is of you getting a crit off. So we just need a little bit of disable to keep him in one place, and you can definitely chase him down. I like PA against Oracle as well. I really thought that was a good matchup for PA. He can stop you from attacking with Fate's Edict, and he can delay somebody's death with False Promise, but you do so much damage you can kind of offset that. And this skill doesn't really work amazing against PA either, because it's just going to make me stop moving, but I can still Blink Strike afterwards. So. And Anti-Mage was also a really bad pick. I didn't like that pick at all because I counter it. It's not really particularly good against any of our heroes. So, alright, so these are pretty much... Oh, this is almost always my starting item build. I usually get a Stout Shield here instead of the Quelling Blade. Then I'll have Stout Shield, Ring Protection, Self Tango. But the reason I didn't get it this game is because I knew we were going to have a tri-lane of Phoenix as well as Lina. And usually I have a little bit of trouble last hitting the first couple creeps because my base damage is so low. So I find it a lot easier to just buy a Quelling Blade sometimes. Although if you know there's going to be dual lane or you're scared about what the lane's going to be, you're not sure, always get a Stout. Because by buying Quelling Blade, I guarantee like maximum 4 more last hits than I would get if I didn't buy Quelling, because usually at some point your last hitting is good enough, right? But if I buy Quelling, I get maybe 4 more last hits. But that's a greedy play because I know I can get away with it because they have a Doom solo offlane. But if it was a dual lane, I would definitely want Stout Shield instead. Because as soon as my allies pull, it's important to have a Stout Shield, because then the creeps will be attacking me, and even with a little bit of evasion, I'm going to be taking a lot of damage. So the Stout Shield's really important to have, really. And again, don't get Poor Man's Shield. That's the trap. If you get Poor Man's Shield, you have to sell it and remake Vanguard. So always just keep the regular Stout Shield as it is. And then you have a super Poor Man's Shield. It's actually kind of an interesting thought. The fact that if you upgrade to Poor Man's Shield, it guarantees damage blocks 20 damage from heroes, but if you just buy a Vanguard, it blocks 32. And Poor Man's Shield is not inexpensive. It's actually it's a 500 gold item, actually. It's an actual 500 gold item. You can buy Poor Man's Shield for 500 gold, which gives you 6 agility and guaranteed 20 damage block. Or you can buy a Vanguard for 2,150, 4 times the cost. And it makes much more damage block, quite a bit more. 50% more damage block, not to mention 250 HP and 8 HP per second regen. It's actually kind of crazy to think how expensive Poor Man's Shield is. So here I am. I'm going to try to keep equilibrium because that's what you do as a carry. And I'm also going to run at the Doom because my supports were both pulling instead of just one of them zoning, one pulling. So by running at the Doom, I make the Doom a little uncomfortable, thinking that he just might die. So even if I'm not going to harass him, like I had no intention of actually chasing him down. My goal was basically to make him a bit scared. That way there's a better chance of, or a lower chance of him hitting 2 as fast. Really important that you do this. Don't right click him while you run at him though, because then it's going to aggro the creeps. But as long as you run at him, he should adjust based on your positioning. I actually did miss quite a few last hits here in the first couple waves. I think I've missed at least 2 so far here. And normally I'd also buy Stout Shield right off the bat, but I think I bought Boots of Speed here just because I wanted the potential to chase the Doom down. I almost daggered that, but I found it a little safer just to go for the last hit. And I probably should have bought Stout here, but I bought Boots instead. As you can see, the creeps actually do quite a bit of damage. It adds up, you know, everyone hits for like 5-10 damage, something like that. And maybe I could have gotten Blur instead, that way I at least dodged 20% of their attacks, but I felt more comfortable getting Phantom Strike, that way if needed I can dive towards where the Doom is. So the only reason I'm pushing this wave right now is because their creep wave has more than ours. So if I want to static this lane, I need to push it to offset a little bit. So I need to attack a little bit more here to keep it even. It's pretty much mandatory that you do buy a Quelling Blade right away, so don't be afraid to buy it later. When I used to not play carry very much, I would almost never buy Quelling Blade, but then we had that period of time where everybody realized like, oh hey, if we just actually buy Quelling Blades, then we farm the jungle really rapidly and get a lot of levels. So at that point, it's very clear. If you ever go into the jungle, having a Quelling Blade accelerates you so much that there's no reason not to buy it, because it's definitely going to help you out. So you should buy Quelling Blade almost every single game that you're playing carry, unless there's just like no way that you need it to jungle. Maybe there's some hero that you don't need it on. Just trying to pressure him a little bit. Technically it doesn't do really that much damage, but it's free harass, I guess. Always deny range creeps impossible. I daggered that just a little bit late here. And I want to stand away from the creeps before I right click him, because otherwise it'll aggro poorly. And now I'm going to pick up my Sage's Mask and my Stout Shield. I should have my Stout a little bit earlier, but it's not that big of a deal that it's delayed. The fast Basilius is pretty darn important because of the fact that it gives you 6 bonus damage in the laning stage, and the mana regen is really good also. I also don't have Blur just yet, so I have to be a little careful. He's actually doing quite a bit of damage to me here. But I can definitely play aggressive. Luckily his Stomp didn't get me there. That's pretty much what PA does here. Just a lot of chase, a lot of damage over time. I'm going to salve up here. So usually you start buying your Vanguard items around the time that you're starting to run out of regen, and I'm very low now. I only have 1 Tango left. So it's definitely time for me to try to invest into a Ring of Health if possible. You don't have to rush the Vanguard before you finish phase, and in fact I recommend that you actually get phase first before you finish Vanguard. But usually you're going to have to get at least the Ring of Health before you go into the phase boots. The reason being that, again, you'll run out of regen. You're going to want to be aggressive against your opponents. The reason you want Vanguard rapidly, or sorry, phase boots rapidly, is because it gives you a lot more laning presence, and it basically guarantees that you won't miss last hits because then you get plus 24 damage. So it's pretty important to get phase pretty fast. The overall movement speed increase helps a lot too. Yeah, only way I got that last hit was with Dagger. Again, Dagger does more damage than your right click does. It does 75 plus 40%. And 40% right now is... it's basically like 100 damage, I think, for my Dagger. I actually don't have the mana to chase this down, but... forcing him back is the important thing here. Don't remember if I got phase boots here or if I got the Ring of Health, but... looks like the Stout Shield's blocking things like 16 damage, which is pretty significant. Considering, like, I don't know, what is it, like 7 attacks of 16 damage is the equivalent to 1 Tango. Stuff adds up really fast. It's got 34 last hits here at 5 minutes 29 seconds, which is really fast. Really good for me. They're doing a side pull, so I was happy to push this fairly rapidly, especially since we have 2 creeps. Creep equilibrium is the main thing that you have to be concerned about when you're playing PA. Or playing all carries, actually. Alright, so I do buy the Ring of Health. I should have bought my first Blade of Attack there, because it would have given me a bonus 9 damage. I think I actually attacked this wave a little bit too fast here. I pretty much auto-attacked, and I probably shouldn't have, because more of these creeps could have gotten denied. Maybe. It actually wasn't that many creeps here, but... alright, that gives me 6. Now the creep wave is out of control, but I can push with this. That does give me phase boots here. Alright. And now your item build's really strong. Right here, you're at a pretty good position. And I can push up. I'm a little scared to push up because I'm a little bit worried about ganks. I don't usually like staying under tower, especially with like heroes like Purge in the game. But we can actually see him mid, so I shouldn't actually be that worried about it. I turned my Basie on a little bit late. I turned it on right now, but I should have turned that on a bit earlier because then it would give 2 armor to all my creeps. But 2 armor to all my creeps when I'm hitting a building is pretty worthwhile. So my right click is good, and I'm just missing 1,100 gold to finish my Vanguard, and then basically my HP goes to like 1,100 at, what, 8 minutes into the game or something like that. That's incredible. 8 or 9 minutes. We'll look at, when I hit the Vanguard timing, I'll show you guys what my survivability is compared to the enemy heroes. I'm gonna run in here, see if I can get a kill online. I got a little lucky on the crit. I definitely wanted to go in, but I needed to wait a bit. I maybe could have gone in there at that moment, but a little bit safer to wait a moment. Luckily the neutral de-aggroed, and I was able to chase with the dagger. Sometimes it's really important that you're a little patient on heroes like PA that can weave in and out and have a lot of aggressive reach, because if I went in on the line right away just because I crit him, I think there was a high chance that at minimum I get earth spiked and rotted, and I'm going to be put very low, and then my team eventually gets there. Instead, I waited a bit until my team could collapse. And by doing that, it guaranteed that when they used their disable, they didn't have as much time to focus me, and it guaranteed that I didn't die. And I still got kills out of it. That's the important thing. So in some ways we got lucky because they came and pressured me, and I ended up getting value out of it. But the mobility that PA has is definitely one of her biggest advantages by far. It's probably her biggest advantage, more so than the fact that she has evasion. Evasion can be countered with items, but it's important to make sure that that you're in and out of the team fight, so you go in when it's safe to do so, kind of a thing. This is Doom TPing. Alright, so now my Vanguard's completed, and I'm going to pause the game. Alright, so I've got 1070 HP despite being a level 7 hero. 20% of the attacks going towards me, I'm going to dodge. And I'm now blocking 32 damage. And even if I do take damage, I am resisting 35% of that. So let's do some math really quick, just to show you guys how good this is. Let's say Doom right-clicks me. He does 74 damage. Right off the bat, 32 of that is blocked. So he's actually only doing 42 damage per right-click, guaranteed. That's assuming 20% of it. That's 80% of that is going to hit, by the way. So really what we can do is say 72 minus 30, or sorry, it was 74. 74 minus 32. Maximum his right-click is 42 damage right now. And 20% of that is evaded, so I'm going to multiply that by 0.8. So he's actually doing about 33.6 per right click, and I'm resisting, what was it, 35%, so I'm going to multiply this number by another 0.65. Is that right? Yes. Times 0.65. That means every time Doom right clicks me on average, he's doing about 22 damage. How the hell does this guy kill me? 22 damage. It's basically like he almost shouldn't even right click. The damage block and the survivability that I have from this is actually ridiculous. And let's look at other heroes. That was Doom, he's got 74 damage. Lion has even less, he's got 61, so that's probably more doing an average of like nothing. Like 15 damage a right click. When I have 1000 HP, 15 damage a right click is awful. Purge is 74, Anti-Mage is 78, he's going to miss his mana, some of his mana break hits. Like none of these guys' right clicks do anything to me right now, because of the fact that I have a Vanguard. And I hit for more damage. I've got about 100 damage. Like, most of these guys don't even have 1000 HP yet. Sports especially. Level 4 Lion, level 3 Oracle. These aren't uncommon numbers for 8 minutes. I mean, they're a little underleveled, but it isn't, like, ridiculous. So at this stage in the game, PA with Phase, Vanguard, and Ring of Basilius is really strong. Next item will obviously be Ring of Aquila, but This is the value of the hero, really. And you can do crazy stuff, like you can dive in. And this is what you should do at this stage. Once you have the Vanguard, you're basically invulnerable unless they have about 2 to 3 heroes. And I'm just throwing daggers. It's worth doing that because, again, it's a free auto attack. It may or may not crit. So I'm just happy to do that whenever. And he came really far forward here, so I'm pretty happy to right-click him. As you can see, I do a lot of damage. And nice rotation from Phoenix here. And an easy kill. You can dive towers, it doesn't matter, because you're evading some of them, you're damage blocking some. I think it works on towers, the damage block, not 100%. Oracle came bottom here. That's another hero that I can pressure a little. I probably should have thrown a dagger on him already. There's no reason not to. Like, that did minimum 100 and, what, 120 damage or something like that, physical. It's so good. This is a bit peculiar why he would cast this on me. I realized what it was. Oh, okay, Pudge was TPing, that's what it was. I thought he was smoked or something like that. So, even if he hooks me there, there's a chance I die just because he can rot chase me pretty far. But it's not super high chance. Now, because I have Vanguard and I don't have to worry about my survivability, I don't have to worry about my mana pool, really. Because I have a Basilius, I'm just going to get maxing out Phantom Strike. Because I want this to be as low cooldown as possible. Got my Aquila here. I decided to TP since there were 2 heroes, and I'm probably going to make it in time. This is easily the right hero to kill. This looked kind of scary. I was like, oh, I fed. Now I'm worried about Lion again. I was trying to juke it a little bit, didn't work out. Got a little lucky in that one. But like I've actually tanked so much damage. I messed up that attack. I should have been a little bit more careful. But I'll look at the fight recap and we'll talk about which abilities that I received. Okay, here's the fight recap. I got dismembered for sure. I got earth spiked and hexed, and I'm pretty sure that Oracle threw at least minimum the Fortune's End on me and 1 Purifying Flames maybe. I took a lot of damage. But I also dealt 1600 damage just from 4 daggers, 2 Phantom Strikes, and right clicks. I did almost as much as Singh did here. And I don't even think, he doesn't even have his Flame Guard, so he's kind of going a joke build. But I did a lot of damage in this team fight, but the more important thing is I took a lot of damage as well. It's the value of the Vanguard. We do also have a Magnus in this game, but don't let that make you think that like the only reason that this game went well is because I had Magnus. That's not true at all. But the cooler part is that I basically never have to leave the lane because I'm always regenning. I've basically always got a tango going in terms of regen, just by having the Vanguard. That part's pretty cool. They really should have glyphed this. I'm really surprised that they did. Let's go to Sunray. I do have to run away though. Always helping out. I made a slight mistake here. I daggered instead of blink striking. I think it would have been better if I blink striked, because I would have gotten like 4 hits in. The slow was pretty good though. And again, can keep diving.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
I just love this item build so much. It's so good. Lets you be so aggressive. People like actually can't fight you. And now because I've gotten all these kills, I'm level 10 right now. So I can reinitiate every 6 seconds. Basically every 6 seconds, if somebody's a little out of position, I can punish them with a dagger and a blink. My HP just keeps scaling up too. 1230 right now compared to everybody else. Let's take a look around the map. 760. This guy's only got 860 HP. I have more HP than Pudge has. Oh yeah, I forgot about this one. I moved into the jungle here, I think. Good old coin blade jungling. I could be using Phantom Strike here to jungle these faster, but my mana pool is a bit low, so it's not really worth it. It's getting a crazy fight.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
So this is basically the glory position. From here on, you're basically set from levels. More levels is always good, obviously, but.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
I can definitely fight this. I'm just trying to play it a little careful. Unfortunately, he didn't get the egg off in time. They nuked me pretty heavy. Eventually it worked out. They got a lot of gold from that. If he would have gotten the supernova off, we probably would have been okay. Most likely, but he got bit while he was diving is what happened. So he didn't get a supernova off since they came in with Oracle. So they've got pretty darn good nuke heroes. Oracle, Lion, Pudge. That's 3 heroes that are tons of magic damage. And they're still having a lot of trouble killing me. And I got doomed on top of that. Kind of shows the resilience here. And while they did kill me and break my streak and stuff, I'm still not too worried about the fact that it took that much to do it. Vanguard is actually a really good Doom counter, by the way, because Doom at this level does 20 pure damage a second, and Vanguard regens 8 HP a second. So it basically means that all Doom does is prevents you from using items or spells. It's pretty nice.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
I don't have a lane ward, so things are a little scary, but I think the only way that I get really blown up is if they hook me, maybe. into like 3 heroes. I can't TP mid unfortunately because I TP bottom. But a lot of times you're playing carry, this stuff kind of happens where you gotta TP to a lane instead of going somewhere else. And once I finish Deso, it's definitely time to fight again, but for now I'm going to be a little bit farm heavy. Wanted to catch this guy. I'm going to look on the map. I'm going to see where he went. Alright, I remember he farmed the small camp. I remember that part. Okay, and there's no camp. Okay. So I looked for him. I was like, okay, I thought he was going to go here, but he went small camp instead. And then I didn't know where he went. So I didn't even see the hook miss me here because I was looking somewhere else. I don't know if Pudge is still waiting for me or not, but he definitely could have hooked me there. This is definitely a bit scary. But with that said, my Deso's done. So now I'm ready to party. I think this is where I died. They set up a nice gank. The Pudge waited at the secret shop here and approached from the back. Looks like they were smoked as well. And actually blinked forward, so... yeah, Pudge from the back with a Doom. Really nice gank by them. The crazy part is like looking how long I actually survived for, right? Like I got doomed, full dismember, and time afterwards. I bought a couple items before I died. Bought the Tome of Knowledge and a TP. I don't think I needed to buy those because I think I had some reliable gold there, but I just bought them out of habit. And that's kind of what happens when I play carries. When I'm dying, I buy support items because those are usually the items that I panic buy when I'm dying as supports. So I dropped the Tome of Knowledge. Those should be going to your supports in most cases. This game it looks like probably Phoenix or Lina. Either hero would actually be really good for levels. Lina gets really good by around level 11. Before that she's good but not as good. But now that Deso's up, I basically just want to group up with my team and fight. Like there's no point to grab this build and then go farm. Because your items are all about fighting. Vanguard is about fighting and Deso is about fighting as well. So I need to get mid as fast as possible. That way I can start getting kills. They also don't know that I was going Deso because I just got the Mithril Hammer. They probably thought it was a BKB or something like that. And I kind of just 4-shot the anti-mage. I got a little lucky on my crit. Alright, that guy's 100% dead now. Yeah, we basically... that was more of like a empower hitting two grouped guys thing than it was necessarily me, but we got a lot of kills out of that fight. It was really good. And now with empower, I also cleave. Honestly, I think this is a build though, especially with even with Magnus on your team, because you don't really need to get Battle Fury if you've got empower. It's kind of in some ways a waste, in my opinion. I think I maybe should have gone Ancients here. Nah, I guess I'm okay going bottom. So I'm still a little bit low on HP. I guess it's okay. This is a build, man. You get crits and it's like amazing how much damage you do. To single targets, that is.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Kind of just looking for pokes, basically. I should probably be moving in between hits because it's gonna very likely that I get hooked here. I see the Doom on the map here. I'm thinking about him. I didn't necessarily want to go on him, but just throwing the dagger should get him scared a little bit. I need to run. It's pretty dangerous. Now these use both of his disables, I wanted to go back in. That was even a bit late, I think. I wanted to get a crit to make sure that he died. And once I get a crit, then I know he's 100% dead. Could have blinked that a little faster. I just love what you can do with the Vanguard. You can just dive so much. Normally you can't dive this much as PA. You have to be too worried about the survivability. I've also started been putting points in my blur, which I think is absolutely worth it. 10% evasion for a skill point is pretty good. The first skill point's obviously the best one, but getting your evasion up to 50% at this kind of stage when you're winning with Vanguard and I'm about to finish BKB basically means I can't die. Even against like Doom and stuff like that. As long as I get BKB off before I get Doomed, then I can't die. They don't have the damage to do it. And they can't auto-attack through. And Anti-Mage is now on this like timer where he's trying to finish Manta style, but he doesn't even have a solution to my blur yet, so there's actually no way that guy fights me. He prevented my level 14. If they don't have any right clicks at all, maybe I could justify going stats over blur, but it's probably just worth getting blur. The evasion's pretty much too good to pass up, I think.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
You might be wondering why I came down here. It's mostly just because it pressures the mid tower, and it kind of forces them to rotate a little bit. Sometimes you get lucky like that, where you throw Dagger and you crit for 950. Like, that's why this build is so good. You can't do this build with the Battle Fury. Battle Fury is not good for solo killing people. It's like a 4,000 gold item. It's like 4,500 gold, I believe. And it only gives you 55 damage or something terrible like that. It's not like terrible, but it's not very good. 55 damage for 4,500. Whereas you can buy Deso for 3,600. 3,500 gives you almost as much damage. Gives you far more single target damage. The only benefit of Battle Fury is that it gives you cleave, really. But it's the Deso build is just so much better, damage wise, so much better. Single target. Actually, don't have very good vision here. I think this is my Battle Fury or BKB. I mean, yeah. Okay, I got my Quilling back too. So after this, Abyssal Blade. This game, Abyssal Blade is the right choice, I think. I could maybe justify some kind of HP item. So SNY Manta maybe would be alright. SNY is pretty good. Manta's not bad either though. Manta's kind of bad actually because Deso, you don't really get increased damage from. He's learned his lesson. I would have committed to that, but I didn't really want to chase them heavily. I just went for the safe play. The first skill, Fortune's End, does remove Empower, by the way, so keep that in mind when he casts it on you. I wish that creep actually stayed aggroed on him.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
I probably could have gone on that, honestly, but I would have only gotten one support kill out of it.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And now we BKB easy. The old Phantom Strike against the Anti-Mage who's stunned. No, the game's basically, obviously it's been over for a bit, but this game is actually less stompy than the last one I played, but the MMR is a lot higher in this game, so I felt like this was a better example of this build working against better players, but I honestly think this build is pretty good. It's very good at fighting. Not super good at farming, so I guess if you lose your early mid-game fights, you're kind of screwed. There's a higher chance you'll lose the game, but if you play it correctly, you can really weave in and out of battle a lot more. Get more value out of your hero. So, just wanted to share it with you guys. Like I said, the last game of this I played, the game was way too stompy to make a video out of it. It just wasn't worth it. Oh, I got doomed? No big deal. I'm actually taking like no damage over time. It does nothing to me. It's great.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
for me. Almost got Abyssal. Abyssal is really good on this here as well because you get bashes, and once you blink or Phantom Strike on somebody, you can guarantee a stun. So that part's really good. I just checked that high ground because I was scared that they'd all TP to tier 2 and try to kill me or something.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
I actually just crit twice in a row there. That was pretty good. $15 HP regen. I didn't even realize. Oh my god, that's so much. Oh, it gives you better block as well. It gives you a 40 block instead of 32. If you bash, that's 80 bonus damage. It's pretty good.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
Item's not as good as it used to be, but if you need a little bit of hybrid survivability, it's great.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Regeneration.
It's kind of cool how Stifling Dagger is actually very similar to... It's actually very similar to the way that Echo Saber works right now, where you get 2 hits at the start instead of just 1. It's really works to PA's favor.
Dire's ancient is under attack. Dire's ancient is under attack.
Alright, so that's the PA build. That's pretty much it. Phase Vanguard Aquila. Go fight a lot, get a lot of kills, weave in and out. Don't overextend, but you should be pretty set for not dying. I play pretty aggressively and do a lot of dumb things, but every time I've done this build, it's worked really well. Your last hits are going to suffer, so make sure your fights go semi-okay. If your team is losing, maybe this isn't the build to go. I'm not 100% sure on that one. That's when things get a little hard, but I really like this build. I think it's really fun. It's very effective. And transitions well. Again, the only downside is you don't have lifesteal, but I guess you could buy a Vlad's mid game, I guess, and do something similar. Or somebody else can buy a Vlad, something like that. But generally, I think the lifesteal is a little overrated on PA, except for late game. Like, talking like 30 minutes plus. 30 minutes plus lifesteal is really good. First 30 minutes. It's kind of a waste of gold. Better to buy tanky items. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the PA video. I'm going to stream today, so come tune in for that later. I might set up my Vive as well. I received it a couple days ago, and I'm definitely going to stream with that, assuming my PC can handle it. Because I know that you have to output really high FPS to the monitor while also streaming, but I do that for Dota, so maybe it's possible. Worst case, I stream at like 30 FPS or something, but I'm not really sure how difficult it is to do both at the same time with the one PC. But my computer's a beast, so it should be alright. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Or today if you see me on the stream. See ya.